Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you from the DeKalb County Library program or system, and I'm bringing you another program. I've had several suggestions because we are headed into, actually, we're in the holiday season, and I've had a lot of suggestions for little gifts that can be given, just some little generic things. Not everybody wears earrings, so I'm going to be doing a video on ear wraps. Aren't those just the cutest things? I did that several years ago. I didn't remember how long ago it was, and somebody mentioned it, and I said, "Oh, I don't like to repeat." But when I look back, I thought, "Oh, it was 5 years ago." So we're going to just do some little different designs, and we will be doing some ear wraps. Everybody seemed to like that a lot because everybody doesn't have pierced ears. Everybody doesn't like those clips that hurt your ears before the night is over. So I thought we could just do some really decorative ear wraps. That is not today. Today, we're going to make a wreath pendant. And I wanted to, it's going to be super easy, super quick, super sparkly because we're going to be using two things, two components, three components: memory wire, 24 gauge wire, and an assortment of 4mm rondelle and bicone beads. It's going to be a lot of fun. Anybody can do this. From age, I don't know what age you have kids that might, or kids or grandkids that might be playing around with wire and jewelry making. This is a family project. So what we're going to do, well, I just gave away what we're going to do. We're going to be making a wreath. And we need our usual tools. We're going to need round nose pliers, and they're called that because these arms, legs, whatever you want to call this part around here, is completely round. Then we're going to use square or chain nose pliers, depending on what brand it is and what they call it. And those are slightly rounded on the outside. They're slightly rounded, slightly square, and the inside is perfectly flat. Now, let me suggest that if you're working with wire, you might want to get a pair of these pliers that don't have the little ridges or the teeth on the inside, because if you do, and it can mar your wire, or as a friend of mine said, her wire always ended up looking like chewed hamburger. You don't want that. So get a pair of chain nose or flat nose pliers, square nose pliers that don't have those little teeth in there. Um, and lastly, you're going to need two pairs of cutters. You're going to need one pair of cutters that are to cut the 24 gauge wire, and you're going to need another pair of cutters, that memory wire cutters. Now, the reason that you need the memory wire cutters is because memory wire is tempered steel. It's about the toughest thing that you can use. And if you use your regular pliers to cut memory wire a lot, it can dull the pliers or worse yet, break the blade. And I know this from experience. And I've told this story before when I was first starting to work with different kinds of wire. I didn't know anything about memory wire. I did know that I had a budget, a very small one, and they kept telling me get memory wire pliers, and I thought, oh, I can just use my own pliers. You're not going to make me pay $15 for something I don't need, and I ruined my regular pliers and ended up not only having to buy the memory wire pliers, but replace my regular pliers. Don't do that to yourself. Just get the memory wire pliers if you think that you will be using memory wire at least a bit, because they are great and they cut so easily. If you just have regular pliers, you really have to apply a lot of pressure. But with these babies, they just snap right through it. Coming down off my little soapbox. So those are the tools that you'll need. You're going to need memory wire and an assortment of beads. I'm not going to pick them up because they're down here on my little table, but you'll see them when you get down there. And you can choose the colors of beads that you want. You can use a large assortment of, why is that going? Stop that. You can use red and green and white and silver. If you want to go with Christmas colors, you can use Kwanzaa colors. You can use any colors that you want to use. I'm using all different colors so that you're not relegated to a certain time of year. If you want to wear it some other time of year than the holiday season, people won't go, isn't that for the holidays? No, we're going to be using a multitude of colors of beads, just so that you can wear this anytime during the year that you want. So, got them all bagged up and ready to go. Those of you who get kits will have the beads, the memory wire, and the 24 gauge wire that you need to wrap everything. So let's get down here to the other cut camera because I want to get started. So as you can see, you're going to need a lot of 24 gauge beads, a lot. There's at least 100, depending on how dense you make your wraps and how closely together or how built up you want your wreath to be. So those of you who get kits, you're going to get over 100 of these beads because I want to make sure that you have enough. Then you need a ring and about an inch of memory wire. So you'll need one ring, and then you want to overlap it about an inch or so to make your wreath. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab my pliers. It can be either your square or your round nose, or you don't really need the pliers. You just want to go, here's my overlapping part. I want to go to the center of my overlapping part and take one of those ends and turn it up. Just like that, straight up. And that's why the pliers might be better. Let's turn it straight up. So that's what I have now. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Right there where I have a bend in the other wire, I'm going to go to that point and I'm going to make a bend in the other side. And one side is a lot longer than the other, but that's okay. Okay, I'm going to turn that straight up. And we're using memory wire, so it's naturally curved. So you're going to have to use your pliers to straighten it out. Yeah, get that straight. With it until you have it straight up there. There. So now there is my wire. And I'm going to cut off this extra length on this other one because I don't need it. And those of you who get kits, I've cut it down. We've cut it down to as close to what you need as possible so that you don't have to worry about going out and buying a pair of memory wire pliers just to make this one little piece. So I'm just going to adjust this till the wires are standing straight up as close as possible because I'm going to be curving it back down so it doesn't have to be perfect. Here we go. So that's what we have. These two wires are side by side. Standing up. Cooperate. Bring it back a little more. That's better. Sheesh. Okay, so there's my ring. And now I'm going to take my 24 gauge wire. Now, with the 24 gauge wire, you're going to need approximately 1 1/4 yards. I'm going to give everybody 1.5 yards. But what the beauty of this is, if you don't want a whole long piece of wire flapping around while you're trying to do these wraps, you can cut this down to smaller pieces. I wouldn't go less than 1/2 yard, and then add more wire in when you run out. That's the beauty of this kind of a wrap. It doesn't have to be all one wire if you don't want to have to deal with that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is take my 24 gauge wire and I'm going to wrap it around these two stems that are sticking up here. I want to give myself about 1/2 inch of wire to hold on to, just so I have some leverage. And then I'm going to wrap this long tail around these two wires and keep those wires side by side. I want to make this nice and tight. So I'm giving it one full wrap with the long tail. Then I'm going to go over here to the short tail and I'm going to wrap it around as well. This one time. Just want to get it nice and snug. And again, I don't want these wires to cross over. I want to keep them side by side. So this one's on this side and this one's on that side. I don't want them to cross. It's nice and tight. Put that around there one more time. So it's nice and secure. Okay, and then we're going to cut off the short tail with our regular pliers. And push the wire down as close to the ring as you can get. You want it nice and close. Okay, get that nice and snug. Like that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to add some beads. But what I'm going to do first is make my loop at the top that you're going to use to put your chain or your cord through. So what I'm going to do is go about 1/3 of the way back on my pliers. It doesn't have to be much. It's not a huge loop. We're just going to make a simple loop. So I'm going to go about 1/3 of the way back on my pliers. Make sure that this is nice and clean here, nothing sticking out the back. And I'm going to start my turn. And you have to use some muscle here. Now I'm going to start my turn on this side. And then I'm going to switch to the other side because your pliers are graduated in size, and you want both of these to be the same size. So if I were to turn the whole thing all the way around on one side would be smaller than the other, and I don't want that. So turn it around. Give it another turn. I'm going to go back to the other side again. Turn, and then go back to the other side. And let's finish it off. And just keep doing that until you have a loop. Straighten out here. And like I said, you're going to need a little elbow grease for this. There we go. And then there's my loop. Push that down because I want it to be completely closed. And we're not wrapping it because it's memory wire, so make sure it's closed. Get back down there, wire. There we go. And then if you need to, just use your square pliers to push that tip against the rest of the wire. There we go. And we can adjust that later if we need to. Memory wire has a mind of its own, so it might bite you a little bit. All right, so there is my loop. There we go. There's my loop. It's not completely up against the rest of the wire, but I can fix that in a bit. Get it completely closed. Close. That's good. Another little tweak and it'll go. There we go. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so now it's time for the fun part, which is putting on my beads. Okay, so let's grab some beads and get to work. So all I'm going to do is slide on a selection of beads. I'm just going to slide on some beads here, just a few beads. Now I've seen people do things like this and they put all of the beads on but then you're fighting with the beads on the wire so that they don't fall off. And I don't want to deal with that. That doesn't make any sense to me. What other color do I want here? Several colors. Very pretty. Let's get a blue one. All right, let's let that slide down to the wreath part. And I'm going to wrap that around. But first, I should have done this first. I'm going to put a couple of wraps beside the post. See, right now it's sliding because it doesn't have anything anchoring it. So I'm going to take those beads back off. And I'm going to put a couple of wraps right down here on the ring. Make sure that stays down. Get down there. It's wanting to move up. There, stay down there. Okay, let's wrap that around the ring part just a couple of times just to get that post wire anchored. So now it's nicely anchored. And now I can put beads on. So again, let's get this nice little selection of beads. I'm just going to do like 4 or 5 at a time. And that way I don't have to worry about beads falling off. Let's do the color. And I like to alternate my colors so that I have light and dark. And that's just me. You don't have to do that, but I just like to make sure it's nice and got a lot of contrast, nice and sparkly. Whatever. Let's see here. Let's do green one. And a blue one. That's really gray, but that's okay. Okay, so I have a nice little selection of beads here. I'm going to slide it down until it's touching my my little ring, and then I'm going to wrap that around. I want it nice and close so I can completely cover my little ring. So there's my first little foray into the wrapping. And then what I like to do after I've got a little cluster on there is wrap the wire around the ring again one time, just to hold that little cluster in place. And then I go and I grab grab some more beads and put them on. Another little selection. Of all different colors. And again, I'm using a collection of both bicones and rondelles. And that's what you're going to be getting in your kits. A nice hodgepodge of a lot of beads. Nice and sparkly. All right, so let's wrap this little cluster of beads around. Nice and snug. And you'll see this is why I said if you want to cut your wire down to a half inch pieces, you can do that, because that way you don't have to fight with a really long strand of wire while you're trying to wrap it around your loop. Okay. So far, so good. Let me push those together a little closer. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a little wrap around my wire. Starting to see a little pattern here. Okay, let's go with this beautiful teal bead. Right, let's go with this green one just to give it some lighter contrast. Right, dark garnet, lovely. And I'm going to do a light blue, topaz, a dark blue, and what other color do I want to here? Let's go with this hyacinth orange. Let them slide down to my wreath and wrap them around. And I always make sure to push them together so that I don't have a lot of gaps. And you can either wrap this around this way or you can turn your wreath so that you can see where the beads are going. And then pull the wire through. And turn. push the beads down, turn, and just adjust the beads to the way you want them to look as you're going down your wire. And I'm going to do another little wrap here. Now, for instance, let's say I ran out of wire here and I had to cut and I just ran out of wire. So then what I would do is take another piece of wire and just wrap it around here and start feeding the beads on again. That's why I said you don't have to have one long stretch of wire. And you want to make some adjustments as you go. It just depends on how much wire you're comfortable letting show through your beads. If you want it really close, you want to adjust it as you go. So here's the start of my wreath. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this up off camera because it's the same thing. You're just wrapping, give yourself a little cluster, and then wrap the wire around the frame, add some more beads, wrap them around the frame, then just the wire around the frame just to get to hold the clusters on. And you're going to do that until you get all the way around to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that up. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how to finish and how your finished product looks. Okay, see you in just a minute. Okay, we're all finished here, and all I need to do is take my little tail of wire, wrap it around the remainder of the frame. I can also wrap it around this part where the loop is. Just give it a couple of wraps. And then that way, if there's any opening there where you've got your little loop, this can close that up. And I just want a nice messy wrap here. It doesn't need to be completely close. Yeah. Do it one more time around. And then snip off that little tail as close as I can get to the wires. And then push down that little end in between the other wires so that nothing will get snagged when you're wearing it. And there it is. There's my little wreath. You can hang this with a little cord. I'm just going to put it on here so you can see. You can put it on a cord. You can put it on a chain. It's entirely up to you. But there's our little wreath. What's easier than that? Isn't that just the cutest thing? All right. That is our little project for today. Super simple, really quick. Okay, there it is. There's our cute little holiday inspired wreath that frankly you can wear all year round if you want. Isn't that neat? You know what? I didn't even think of this, but you could probably dangle something down the center here, maybe some little bells or something like that if you really wanted to make it a holiday theme. But isn't that the cutest thing? It's so easy to do. Your whole family can get in on this and make this a little Christmas project or even a Kwanzaa project or just something that you could do together to give as a gift to a teacher or just little friends, little stocking stuffers, whatever you want to choose to do with it. It's I just wanted to do something that was quick and easy and fun for the whole family and pretty to wear. So there it is. Super simple, like I said, super sparkly and fun. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you'll make one, and I would love to see your renditions of it because they're all going to be different depending on what kinds of beads that you use. Again, we use 4 millimeter bicones and rondelles for our piece so that we have a nice little selection going on here. I have very few beads left, and I'm very happy with this. So let me know what you think. Get in touch with me at jewelrygen20@gmail.com and let me know what you thought about this video, this tutorial, this particular project, and whether you liked it or not. Both will help me improve. So just let me know what you think about this. Also, I'm heading into 2024, and I would love to know what you would like to see us do. So if you have any ideas, any thoughts of anything that you would like to learn about, please feel free to contact me at jewelrygen20@gmail.com. That's JEWELRYGIN20@gmail.com. Or you can put a comment along with any of the jewelry making videos on the library Facebook page at facebook.com/decab library. Again, that's facebook.com/DEKALBLIBRARY. Hope to hear from you. And if I don't see you, I should see you again before 2024. But as always, have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the weekend, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.